Ladies and gentlemen, this story is just beginning to gain traction. This is Dexter Wade. Dexter lived with his mother down in Mississippi. Him and his mother got into an argument, and you know how, your mother and you may not see eye to eye. So he left the house. Less than an hour after he left the house, an off duty police officer in a police cruiser hit Dexter and killed him. It gets even worse, y'all. His mother, after him being gone for about 3 days, called the police, kept calling and calling and calling and calling. They couldn't tell her nothing. They didn't know nothing. But all along, y'all, they knew one of their cops hit Dexter in a police car and killed him. A month later, they took Dexter's body and buried him in a pauper's grave. Now, pauper's grave is when people can't afford burial. So they'll put you in a pauper's grave. She kept calling and calling and calling. Nothing. No, ma'am, we don't know anything. We have nothing. That went on for 6 months before she found out what happened to her son. And by the time she found out, he was already buried for 5 months in this pauper's grave. This is why when y'all come around us talking about comply with the police and respect the police, respect the badge and respect the blue, we don't be listening to you. You know what? And in fact, let me go as far as saying this. Very few people respect your cops. And see, it's stories like this where all that stuff you be saying falls upon deaf ears. It's been way, way too many instances for us to go back and refer to and give us plenty of reason why we don't like or respect your cops. So you need to stop coming around us with all that comply talk. You're not impressing anybody but yourselves. I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and I'll be right back with the rest of my commentary.
Now to our NBC News exclusive. A mother in Mississippi searching for her missing son, only to learn that he had been struck and killed by a police car, and no one had told her for nearly 6 months. Blaine Alexander reports on what she's demanding.
The last time Betterstein Wade saw her son Dexter, the two had an argument and he left the house. But 3 days later, when her 37-year-old still hadn't come home, she knew something was wrong.
He's never disappeared like that.
He never disappeared like that. He never.
Within 2 weeks, she filed a police report. For months, her calls to police got the same response: no update.
Help me understand what that time was like for you.
That time was horrible. You would lay in your bed. You would think he might have been out there suffering. Somebody might have had him, tortured him. You just want that call to say, Mom, I'm all right. I'm all right. All you want to do is see your child.
Then, in August, nearly 6 months after Dexter went missing, an investigator finally told her Dexter had been hit and killed by an off-duty Jackson police officer while crossing a highway. It had happened less than an hour after he left home that day in March. Then, another bombshell. Dexter had already been buried in an unmarked grave behind the county jail. The only sign, a pole with the number 672.
Dexter, I tried to find you, and I couldn't. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry you're here.
You saw buzzards circling, and you're talking about a frightening thought. Did they even put him in a wood box? or did they just put him in a body bag and drop him in the ground?
Jackson police have not responded to NBC's request for comment. According to the coroner's office, an investigator identified Dexter and shared contact information for his mother with police. But she says she never received a call. After NBC News broke this story last week, Jackson's mayor said this:
that at no point have we identified or did any investigation reveal that there was any police misconduct in this process and that there was any malicious intent.
Do you believe that?
No.
Attorney Ben Crump says they're asking for the DOJ to open a civil rights investigation. They also plan to exhume the body and perform a private autopsy before giving Dexter a proper burial.
And lay some flowers there, and just to know he's in a safe place.
Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Jackson, Mississippi.
You know, I have no words for this whole thing, y'all. The coroner's office had Dexter's ID. They knew his name. They knew where he lived. They had all of that information. They could have easily have gone to the house where he lived with his mother to inform her that he was gone. Instead of doing that, they're going to bury him in an unmarked grave with just numbers on it. But you had his name. See, from chattel slavery all the way up until now, these people have done any and everything to us without a care or concern. Now, if this was one of their white children that this happened to, they would have it out in the news for the next 3 weeks, screaming and hollering about it. But because Dexter was a Black man, you didn't even respect him enough to inform his family about what happened. You know, ladies and gentlemen, everything they did to Dexter was to protect the cop that killed him in that police cruiser. Everything was, the cop was above Dexter's life. That's what they did. They put the cop above the life that they took. The cop was more important to protect than Dexter's family being informed about what happened. So they were just covering up for this cop. And I don't know what that mayor was talking about. You know, he's trying to act like there was no wrongdoing. And see, y'all, that is the root of the problem when it comes down to Black politicians. They have no backbone. They serve when they get in office. The only one and the only thing a Black politician serves is white supremacy. They don't serve anything else. The only thing a Black chief of police in this country serves is white supremacy. That's what they serve. But as for our community, you mean to tell me down there in Mississippi, I know there's Black cops down there in Mississippi. You mean to tell me nobody had enough backbone to go over to the house and tell his mother what happened to him? Nobody had the backbone to tell her in that whole police department? And don't try to say y'all didn't know. Y'all know everything. Y'all know every rotten deed you do to people out here in the public. Yes, you do know. You made that woman suffer for 6 whole months before she was even able to find out what happened to her son. She was constantly picking up the phone to call the cops, the very police department where that cop was that ran over and killed her son. And they played stupid on the phone for 6 whole months. And they knew damn well what happened to Dexter Wade. We don't have to respect evil. We don't have to like evil. We don't have to deal with evil if we choose not to. Well, I'm glad that the mother have legal representation. Being that a police officer ran him over and was too cowardly to inform the family what happened to him, I hope she gets a huge, huge settlement. You know, you can clearly hear the mother tried over and over to go to the police to find out what happened or if they knew where he was, and they knew where he was the entire time, y'all. But lied to this woman over and over every time. Can you imagine that? For 6 months you're calling, and for 6 months they just kept the lie going over the phone. Y'all gonna have to tell me what you think. You know, I pray for his mother. I hope she gets peace now that she knows what happened to her son. It is hard to deal with. I mean, you can clearly tell that woman is broken over this. And she didn't even get the opportunity to bury her son herself. These rotten MFers got rid of his body because they simply didn't care. They didn't care about Dexter Wade at all. Just the cop that ran over him, who, in my opinion, should be jailed. You took this man's life and then you covered it up. You should be jailed. And everybody in that police department that took part in covering up what happened to Dexter Wade, every last one of y'all should be behind bars. That's the problem. The biggest criminals are outside of the jail. That's where they are. They're not behind bars. They're outside of the jail. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.